Boom, record. Alright, I think we're recording now. Let's do this again. Take two, ladies and gentlemen. First video, I accidentally stopped recording halfway through, so that was very unfortunate. So I gotta do the whole thing again. Ladies and gentlemen, hi. Welcome back to the YouTube channel. It's, I don't upload videos very often, but when I do, they come with update videos. Today's update video is going to be some of the plans I have drawn up for the future of the Galactic Conquest mechanics of the Remake mod. As we all know, Remake has a very strong focus on the combat itself. Combat mechanics, unit design, and
it would be a shame if you had to start over again, Tom.
Shut the fuck up, interloper. We are not doing it again. Fuck it, we'll do it live. Update video on the Galactic Conquest mechanics of the Remake mod. So, as over the past couple of months I've been working on the Starbase overhaul, the Valaducia and the ISD, I've been having lots of time to have ideas swirl around in my head, new things such as possible battle groups, lots of stuff. Only it hasn't really been put into concrete plans. Now, I've had that for a long time, that I eventually at some point wanted to redo Galactic Conquest entirely with new mechanics. And recently playing Fall of the Republic, which has some amazing 4X mechanics in the Galactic Conquest map, I wanted to attempt and actually consolidate some of those plans now. So over the past couple of weeks, it's been taken longer than expected. I've been trying to write out all of the ideas. So here is a short kind of overview over what we have planned for 4.0. 4.0 obviously coming after 3.0. There's going to be a patch 3.1 fixing some of the more annoying issues in the mod. There have been several problems that have needed fixing. Just before the release of 3.0, we did actually do a month-long closed beta test, but like about a week before the actual release of 3.0, one of the devs tried to stabilize multiplayer to prevent desyncs. But aside from, or the frequent desyncs, but aside from the fact that that didn't actually do anything, it was non-functional. It also put a whole bunch of assertion errors into the mod, which kind of at the last minute broke a whole bunch of shit. So that's since been fixed. And of course the new ISD will be in, and a couple of other tweaks such as AI budget allocation changes. More on that in a bit. So far, I like to work on these things in bulk, these kind of game pieces. Be it either gameplay or story or whatever, and I kind of call them overhauls because that's just easy to refer to them as. We've got the ground overhaul, that one basically everyone knows about, at least if you're on the Discord server, basically everyone knows about it. Plans for that have been drawn up a long time ago, and I'm not going to go over that again. Starbase overhaul, as we know, is in progress, Valaducia and all that, which is the more complex Starbase system. Then there is story overhaul. That one I have not yet planned this week. That's pretty much the only piece I haven't got done yet. More on that later. There are also battle groups and Galactic Conquest mechanics. Galactic Conquest mechanics being broken down into several subsections. Performance and bug fixing. I mean, that's always something that's going on in the background. Find the bugs and crush them. And of course, performance is a major thing. Now, we currently have an issue with our starfighters that are draining performance quite badly. We know that the number of starfighters is not a problem. We know that the hardpoints aren't the problem, the projectiles aren't, the models aren't, because we got some of the most optimized models in any Empire board mod for our starfighters, actually. It's the only part of the game where we don't go apeshit on the tri-count. I think it's the formations and their error tolerance values that are currently causing the issues. We'll have to figure that out before the 3.0 patch releases sometime next week. But that's coming up as well. I'm not going to call performance and bug fixing some sort of overhaul because that's fucking dumb. It's just something that happens as usual. The last thing I will call it, that is the Skynet overhaul, and that is the AI, and we got some spicy shit coming in for that. But first things first, Galactic Conquest mechanics broken down into a couple of different subsections, so to say. We got the hyperlanes, neutral factions, pirate lords, faction-specific mechanics, and that is the one we are going to start with because it is by far the most major. Before anyone asks about the music, which they do every single time, this is on the playlist. You can find the playlist on the channel, my channel. Just go to playlist and then you will find stream soundtrack CRS and then number... this is inverted, so it'd be like number 200 and 290 or something. And then you get the Battlestar Galactic tracks. So that's the music. Faction-specific mechanics. We're starting with Criminal Underworld. As we know, the Criminal Underworld is going to be broken up into 3 separate sub-factions. They're all going to be part of the main faction, but they're just going to be thematically broken off into separate groups. Now that one has been known for a long time, but the actual specifics of it haven't been, and that's part of what we've been planning out this week. The idea is that the Black Sun, the Hutt cartels, and the Zann Consortium are each going to kind of have their own faction-specific mechanics that we want to reinforce as they get more planets. When you get a planet as the Criminal Underworld, you basically get to choose who you give it to, and that will then determine what you can build there, what you can't build there, and the focus of your Galactic Conquest progression, because they're each very different. The Black Sun on the Galactic Conquest level has a strong focus on economy. They are your piracy dudes, basically. In battle, they have very small, nimble, hit-and-run units, such as the Interceptor 4, Interceptor 5. They're really just pirates, hence the strong focus on the economy, extortion, piracy. You know, they're just basic-ass Criminal Underworld shit. They also have some galactic notoriety, which is basically going to be how many planets and structures the Black Sun have, and based on that you are eventually going to be unlocking more options, such as being able to purchase enemy battalions, you know, battle groups and all that good stuff, because of the corruption and all that stuff that you're spreading. Actual corruption as a mechanic will be left out, but again, the galactic notoriety is kind of meant to simulate that without actually having corruption, because I feel like that system is not suitable for what I'm looking for. So strong economy and build connections with the rest of the pirates, so to say, to unlock things like mercenaries, more powerful mercenaries as your influence increases. And bribery, eventually in battle bribery, which is OP as fuck. So we really want to lock that to the very end of the game, so that in battle you'll also be able to get your advantages out of that. Now that's the Black Sun. Again, it's basically just notoriety, influence, and you unlock new shit. Now the Hutts are the more interesting part of the basic factions being the Black Sun and the Hutts. The Zann Consortium is something entirely different. The Hutt cartels are basically going to rely severely on slavery, which is going to increase your population capacity. There will be income structures for the Hutts themselves, but they're not going to be the focus. Most of it is going to be on increasing your population value and giving you bonuses as you treat your slaves better or worse. Which is basically going to result in build time and build cost reduction of your Hutt ships. Hutt ships in battle are going to be your basic line units. The Hutts have a whole fleet lineup of starfighters, corvettes, destroyer, a capital, even a super capital at the very end. And they're meant to be your basic military units, so to say, right? And then reinforced by the Black Sun units if you want. And then later on the Zann Consortium units, which we'll get to in a bit. Hutt units in battle are going to be very basic. They're very, very simple. They're nothing special. They're nothing really that fancy, but they'll get the job done. That's kind of the idea behind them. And as you push your slaves harder in Galactic Conquest, you'll get bonuses for, as I said, build time, build cost, but also the quality of your Hutt ships is going to go down. We can give galaxy-wide debuffs to your Hutt ships. Specifically the Hutt ships, because those are what you're building with slavery. So Black Sun and Zann Consortium will not be affected by that, but if you push too hard, your ships are going to be trashed, but that's entirely up to you. Oh, and it can also affect upkeep and all that stuff. Oh yeah, upkeep's another thing we want to implement. Right, slavery, basic military, and slavery to increase bobcat. Yep. Then we get to the Zann Consortium. The Zann Consortium is by far the most interesting section of the criminal underworld because it is your tech progression, but not in the way that you would normally do tech progression. The Zann Consortium I like to envision as being perpetually high and coming up with ridiculous ideas, and the engineers just being like, why? Why, oh god, why? We are talking about constructing and researching things such as the Aggressor, the Vengeance siege platform, which used to be a frigate. We kind of turned it into a starbase-ish thing, siege platform. And randomized tech progression, which is that the Zann Consortium, as you give more planets to them, you get higher chances of triggering special events that will be technically a net positive, but they're going to have wildly different effects ranging from very positive to very negative and everything in between and both. Things like a engineer went on a massive bender, completely fucked up one of your starship, one of your lines of starships, and now they're unavailable for the next couple of weeks, but when they're available again, they're like severely upgraded with some sort of super special weapon that he's gotten functional in the meantime. We're talking about that sort of stuff and lots of random events that can have wildly different consequences, from locking entire starship lines to unlocking them, upgrading. Basically, you don't know what you're gonna get. Zann Consortium is a box of chocolates. You never know what you're gonna get. In battle, they have a very severe focus on over-engineered units. They're not going to have a fleet capable of actually holding the line. We're talking about units like the Reckoner 2, the Vengeance, now the Aggressor we kind of all know, from base Forces of Corruption, that sort of stuff. And then your HUD units, your basic HUD units, can be reinforced by them. Yeah, very random. There's a lot of random involved in this, and I really feel like as the individual sub-factions become stronger, we did a pretty decent job of figuring out some mechanics that individually increase the strength of that sub-faction. So like the influence of the Black Sun, the slavery of the Huts, and of course the randomized stuff that happens for the Zann Consortium. It individually increases the strength of the sub-faction, but it also kind of strengthens the criminal underworld as a whole, of course. And of course you can have interplay between mechanics such as the notoriety of the Black Sun, then unlocking new and exciting ways to use your slaves for the Huts, or like unlock new research stations for the in obscure places for the Zann Consortium. There's a lot of stuff that can happen in between those. Again, I'm not going to give you all the full details. I feel like this is sufficient. Empire. Oh, this is a strong focus on asymmetrical warfare, by the way. The whole Galactic Conquest, we plan to have a very strong focus on asymmetrical warfare. What does that mean? That basically means that not all the factions play the same. The Empire. The Empire, we plan a system of public order. Basically, the Empire, I recently watched the original trilogy again. I was very inspired to kind of make the Empire very powerful, but also very hamstrung on logistics. One of the logistics thing, the managerial tasks you're going to have, is public order. Planets are going to have a public order setting to kind of simulate how pleased they are with your rule as guy that leads the Empire. And it's going to have bonuses, and it's going to have very severe debuffs. Now, if your public order is high, everything is dandy, there's no problems. You may get a slight boost on income because corruption is less. And that is about it. However, if the public order is low to very low, or medium even, you start getting debuffs. You start losing money to corruption, ships take longer to build, a whole kind of whoop ass. Specifically, if it gets too low, we plan to spawn rebel units on those planets that they can then move around the galaxy because they'll all be stealth. More on that in the rebel section. And in general, you're gonna have to spend a good amount of time making sure your population is happy by building things such as government buildings, have your moth palaces in places around the sectors, and having your moth. Now we plan to have a couple different buffs and sectors around the galaxy. That's all Empire specific, right? The Criminal Underworld and the Rebellion, they don't do anything with the sectors, but the Empire definitely will. Because again, they're the managerial boys. how far do I wanna? And you can have special events that make the public order go up and down on a galaxy-wide or a sector-wide basis. Things like Imperial holidays maybe could bring it up, or food shortages could bring it down. And of course all sorts of stuff that you do, such as, do you have your government buildings in your sector operational, and is the moth actually there? If not, you're gonna get anti-bonus and all that sort of stuff. And eventually we are thinking about having infiltrators for the rebellion that might lower it. Protect Palpatine. Palpatine should go around the galaxy collecting random shit, and he is going to be completely out of your control. You're not going to be able to control where Palpatine goes, and Palpatine has very specific preferences where he wants to be. Either he wants to go to Coruscant or to Korriban to pick up some Sith artifacts, or maybe he wants to go back to Coruscant to go chill out, or maybe he wants to go all the way across that side of the galaxy. And then you kind of, with your Imperial fleet, have to clear the way for him, and you have to protect him, because if he dies, you're in very, very, very deep shit. He is going to be part of your faction, but you're not going to have control over where he goes, and you have to protect the Emperor with your Starfleet. Now, you're going to have a very sizable Starfleet to start off with, and you're going to have all the logistics lined up for you to do so. But the idea behind the Empire was really that we throw so many managerial tasks at you that you're like, well, fuck. Now I got this immense Starfleet, I got all these resources, I got all the people, I got all the money, and I'm still struggling. That's the idea behind that. Special weapon programs, we'll leave that for now. Government shit, we'll leave that for now. Very basic, right? Very basic stuff. Just have a couple of buildings that increase public order. This is the Moths. Eventually you can have things like the Tarkin Doctrine, the embodiment of that being the Death Star, which then gives galaxy-wide public order boost, that sort of stuff. Neutral factions, right. The Empire has to be throttled by neutral factions, because the Empire is huge and powerful, and they got a massive Starfleet, and the criminal underworld and the rebellion very much do not at the start of the GC. So we're planning to throttle them with lots of neutral shit, from the Republic holdouts to all of the Rebel splinter factions, more on that in the Rebel section. That are all going to be aggressive towards the Empire. So you are going to be beset from all sides. You're going to have basically all the tools you need, but you need to manage a whole bunch of shit to actually survive. And if you try to go after, say, the Rebellion or the Criminal Underworld early on, your Empire is going to crumble back home because you need to defend your borders. Because you're going to be under constant attack. That's strengthened by the new AI. More about that in the Skynet section that'll be coming up soon. Rebellion. I want to move away from the vanilla base. It's not articulated that way. I want to get away from the vanilla mechanics of having the rebellion being very, very dependent on militaristic victory. I want to start shifting the focus away from having lots of planets and having lots of structures to a more stealth-based system. What does that mean? In my opinion, when I watched the OT again last week, the Rebels were very strung up for hardware. They may have had things like starfighters, but you really got the idea. They didn't have a whole lot of them, and they also were very, very... they used them sparingly. Of course, they did throw them all at the Death Star, but that's kind of... You kind of have to do that. They kind of force their hand. So, to embody that, I want to move things like unit production and actually acquiring new units. I want to make that completely detached from the amount of planets that you actually have. The amount of planets as the Rebellion that you're going to actually have under your control. The only thing that that's going to control is basically the support you have around the galaxy itself. Going to represent that by giving every building you have as the Rebellion an income boost. Basically to simulate that as you get stronger as the Rebellion, literally militaristically, by having more planets, more people are willing to support you because they think you have a chance against the Empire, and such you get more money. Unit production is going to be a very spicy thing. I don't wanna kind of spill the beans on that just yet, because I feel like that'd be a nice surprise in game for 4.0 when that's in. So we'll skip that and we'll go to the splinter cells. Upon the start of the Galactic Conquest, we want to have rebel splinter cells all over the galaxy. We're talking about like incom defectors, they'll get you the X-Wing, to Republic holdouts, they'll give you access to the Y-Wing, and maybe a couple of Republic things, to Corellian guys. You know, we can come up with a whole bunch of interesting stuff there. Haven't planned out the splinter cells exactly, but I do know what I want to do with them. They'll be spread around the galaxy, they'll be attacking the Empire individually, but they'll not be under your control. You have to kind of do things for them and have meet like prerequisites to have them actually join you. And at that point you will get mobile bases that will then unlock new things for you. Now, you will not be able to build a whole lot of units, since as I mentioned, the Rebellion, in my opinion, should be really strapped for units. The way you're going to be getting most of your units is from free shit. Every couple days you're going to get an influx of free shit from Imperial deserters, criminals that want to join you, just general units that you get for free around the galaxy. Now that's going to be perfect because all your units are going to be stealth, and the way you actually initiate combat is you have to literally build specific units to initiate combat. What the fuck does that mean? That means you can have your units all over the galaxy, even on Imperial worlds, have them hide out there, and without the Imperial stealth detectors, they'll not actually be able to find you. If they do find you, obviously, battle engages, and then you have to GTFO, and then you're on the run again. Now, the same thing goes to your rebel leaders and all that, and this is basically to simulate the fact that the Rebellion can hide out pretty much anywhere. They don't really need planets to house all their units, they can just have them wherever the fuck they want. And with the new unit production system we got coming up, you'll be able to just basically initiate combat anywhere on the galactic map where your mobile bases are, which are also going to be stealthy. You can move those with the fleet. One of the mobile bases I planned, this one fit very well, was the Fortressa, which is that Lockerholic, which in lore had a whole bunch of X-Wings. Plan to make that part of the incom deserters, so to say, that join you, that unlock the X-Wing. And then you can build X-Wings at the Fortressa, even if it's on enemy worlds. So basically, your growth as the Rebellion is not necessarily so much dependent on how many planets you got or structures you have on those planets. It's mostly going to be dependent on which splinter cells you have joined up with you and how well you are hiding out your rebel shit on enemy worlds. That is that. Splinter cells, unit production, limited units, and you get a whole bunch of free units every couple days. Infiltrators. Infiltrators basically boys that lower the public order for the Empire. Oh, that ties in nicely with the Empire, by the way, because as the public order goes down for the Empire, you get a increased chance of rebel shit spawning on the Imperial planets, and since they're all stealth, you could just move them off world. That would be nice and thematic. Empire won't even know what's happening. So you better fucking plug those public order holes, or you're powering up the Rebellion without even knowing you're doing it. Post watching the OT, the stealth thing, rebel bases, special units to initiate battle, structures, the free units, the mobile bases. I think they did a decent job of summing it up. Asymmetrical warfare, the Rebellion don't necessarily need planets to survive, but they do help. The focus is stealth and evasion. Of course, as the Empire, you'll still be able to win. We have a couple of win states set up for the Empire that do not, in fact, include hunting down all the stealth units, because that's fucking dumb. Bounty hunters are going to be a large part of it, because you need to kill those pesky rebel stealth heroes. Hyperlanes, we plan to do something new with. We're basically going to have a little highway system throughout the galaxy, not unlike what Awakening of the Rebellion does. Shout out, by the way, to for the Republic, the TR Fall of the Republic, sorry, the TR Clone Wars mod for inspiring a lot of this stuff. It's not going to work as they have it set up, but they definitely inspired me to try to come up with some more interesting shit than what I had initially planned. Right, the Hyperlanes, we're probably going to have a highway system somewhere around the galaxy, kind of like what Awakening has, only instead of it going around, it's going to kind of branch out from the core. Did I talk about the sectors yet? No, I completely forgot that on the Empire. Whatever, we'll get to that in a bit. These highways will have increased hyper travel speed, and they're basically going to make it much more efficient to get around the place, because fleets are fairly slow. We're planning on making them even slower. Also, trade between planets, that's mostly starbase overhaul stuff, but we also plan to power that up as you have like planets connected between hyperlanes. That's mostly starbase stuff, and I'm not going to outline the starbase stuff again. Neutral factions, we already kind of talked about the neutral factions, right? Have the Empire beset by all sorts of stuff, from things like Hapes to, which will remain neutral for the entirety of the game, kind of. To the rebel splinter cells, which it is the idea you eventually do join up with those as the rebellion. Or you just don't, and then they'll be eventually eradicated by the Empire. Republic Holdout, which is basically the throttling faction for the Empire, because you really do need something to throttle them. The rebel splinter cells, after specific requests or triggers that you work towards, they will join you. Fairly not that complicated. The Pirate Lords are basically going to work exactly as they're set up right now. They're basically an Underworld specific mechanic. Should have really put that in the Underworld section, but didn't think about it when I wrote that. So sectors. The Empire has sectors. The sectors themselves are going to be basically areas of influence. You're able to build a single Moth Palace in the capital planet of your sector, and having that there as well as the Moth is going to give you bonuses throughout the sector, and of course on the planet themselves, more bonus on the sector-wide scale, slightly less, and then they also give a very small galaxy-wide public order boost. We're currently looking into actually making sure you can display the public order on the GC map, running into a couple of scripting issues there, but they will eventually be straightened out one way or another. It would be neat if you could see, as the Empire beside the planet, the actual number of the public order from 0 to 100, but that'll have to we'll have to see about that later. And of course, as you move further away from the core, the base core of the public order is going to be lower and lower for the Empire, so you are going to need to invest more money into actually stabilizing the population, so to say, the public order, or otherwise you're going to get rebellion. Yeah, and then you can have planets such as Nar Shaddaa and El-Hada have an even lower base score than what is usually considered low, based on the amount of corruption, piracy, you know, basically on a planet-by-planet basis. Battle groups. The Empire, to showcase the logistical superiority of the Empire, we plan to make their units not be individually buildable, but we plan to make them come in battle groups. Now, these are not to be made based on the size of the units that's in them, but based on the function that they serve. We're talking like planetary security, sector security, like siege groups with like a torpedo sphere in them, heavy assault groups, like carrier group. You can do a whole lot of a fuck ton of things with battle groups. Battle groups are amazing. You can do a lot with them in terms of faction design, I feel like. And while I don't have them set up just yet, I feel like this is going to be a very neat feature. You may say, oh, but if we don't have individually buildable units anymore, how can we comprise our fleets? How can we build our thing? You'll be able to have multiple battle groups in battle, and you're going to have several sizes, right? You're going to have the super heavy, large assault groups, but you're also going to have smaller, more dedicated clusters, so to say, of units that you'll be able to make a focus on, or that you will be able to put the focus on in battle if you really want to. Basically, we'll give you the choice. We'll just give you the toolbox of tools. Only this time the tools are kind of strapped together in packages, and you can mix and match the packages. And you'll just have to trust me that I can construct some interesting packages. Battle groups are the idea based on function, yes. There'll be a few thematic battle groups around the galaxy, maybe Hapan, a couple of Corellian ones, CIS holdout shit, that kind of good stuff. Mon Calamari. Don't want to give the Rebels and the Underworld access to the battle groups, because I feel like they really should be struggling for shit, and they need the individually buildable units to really kind of showcase that. Now, later in the game, I got no problem with giving them like a Mon Calamari battle group, but at the start, not yet. Right, public order details. That's not required for this video. It's really warm enough as it is. AI shit. What did we check? We checked battle group, GC mechanics, performance and bugs. We talked about Skynet. AI. Recently, Maxim has taken a look at our Galactic Conquest AI and has done some absolutely wonderful stuff, making it a bit more aggressive. Now, you're going to see this in the 3.1 patch. Prepare thy anus, the AI is going in dry. It is very aggressive right now, and it is going to probably absolutely destroy you the first couple of times, and I can't wait to read the comments of all the salty people that are like, I don't know what you guys did, but this AI is insane. Thank you very much to Maxim and the rest of the Awakening of the Rebellion team. As usual, this relationship between Remake and Awakening of the Rebellion, it gets better all the time for both mods, and it continues to pay dividends for everyone. So, very much thank you for that. Eventually we plan to implement the Skynet-like AI of Awakening into the combat mechanics as well, but to port it over the combat AI is gonna take a bit more time. We're also got other fancy stuff going on, like the UI is currently getting an overhaul, lots of, you know, background stuff. That people don't usually hear about, maybe unless they're keeping up with the Discord. Speaking of which, if you do want to keep up with some of this stuff, join the Discord server, and you will be kept more up to date than these large videos on YouTube. For now, I think that is about it for the things. I'll still be working on the ideas for story-related stuff next week. If you want to hop into the stream and listen to that, you're free to do so. For now, thank you all very much for watching. I hope this gave you a slightly bit of a better idea about what we have planned in terms of asymmetrical warfare and all that stuff. And basically making the 4X mechanics of the Galactic Conquest map, making that happen. So that's really about it. 3.1 is releasing sometime in the next 2 weeks. You'll see that pop up whenever it pops up. For now, see you all later. Bye bye.